Welcome, collectors, and thank you for tuning in for this unusual edition of Diecast Emporium, where we're going to be taking a look at a pretty specialized piece of equipment. This is the Gradall XL4300 Series 2 hydraulic excavator. Now, Gradall is actually a pretty influential and infamous player in the construction industry. In fact, if it weren't for Gradall, we wouldn't have what we know today as hydraulic excavators. In fact, in 1944, the first hydraulically powered telescoping boom that could be raised or lowered and tilted left or right was introduced by Gradall. All right, let's take a look at the packaging first. As you can see, it says Gradall Series 1 Model XL4300 Series 2 hydraulic excavator with a picture of it in the background. Top of the box, same thing with the addition of 132 scale collectible die-cast scale model replica. Back of the box features another picture of the model with the addition of JLG, the parent company of Gradall. It appears that this model was commissioned by Gradall or JLG itself, as nowhere on this box nor the model does it say anywhere who the manufacturer of the model actually was. Okay, let's crack it open and take a closer look at it. Now, this was released around 2005, so it is a bit dated by today's standards, but that by no means diminishes how good of a model this actually is. And it's a must-own if you collect models of either Gradall or larger scale models of construction equipment. With the first portion of the styrofoam removed, there is another piece of packaging that you have to remove very carefully. This little piece right here. Then you can lift the model straight out of the box. Okay, so before we get down to taking a look at many of the working features on this model, let's take a look at first the details and decal application on this machine. Here you can very clearly read Gradall XL4300 Series 2. There is Gradall in black here on this little, what I presume is probably a tool cabinet. On the back of the large counterweight, once again, you can read Gradall and what are some lights. In this larger scale, it allows some of the smaller details to stand out much more clearly, such as this mass of hydraulic lines going to the telescopic boom sections. You also have some mirrors with some actual silver reflective surfaces over here. These small hand and grab rails are actual metal, so is this large one seen here. We have Gradall, the red stripe, and the gray stripe over here as well. Here's a opening tool cabinet, as I said, that's all too eager just to show you that it opens. And finally, looking from the front of the machine onwards, you can see another working light, two of those as well. You have a windshield wiper on the front of the plastic, which obviously is mimicking the glass portion of the cab. In the cab, if we open the cab door, which is best done with the help of a pointer tool that I'm using here, you can open it nice and wide. In fact, you can open it all the way over here like you'd see in the real world. Everything in the cab predominantly is there. Steering wheel, operator seat, levers, but everything's black, so it's a little hard to pick up on camera, but it is there, and it's modeled quite nicely. You've already seen before that both sides of the model feature a opening tool compartment, which is actually pretty nice if you have some 132 scale tools or shovels or other diorama accessories that you want to store inside this machine. That's a good compartment for those. Maybe even some small pylons might be stored in there. The wheels also turn on the front axle, and they will achieve a very good angle in either direction. Your dozer blade, which also acts as a stabilizer, can be raised or lowered, depending on if the machine is working or not. Additionally, at the rear, you have two deployable outriggers. Now, these do take a little bit of force to get them to come down, so allow me to move the machine a little bit closer to me. Pull these things down. Most of the components on this model, while I'm doing this, for the most part, are metal. There are some plastic components, but this is actually a pretty hefty model. So now we've got our outriggers down, and we will put our blade all the way down as well. So with the outriggers down, it is to their fullest extent. You can just barely see that it's enough to put the wheels off of the ground very slightly. very, very slightly. Let's put those back up. Just like that. Okay, here are some of your opening compartments. These two reveal some engine detail, particularly this one right here. And that's worthwhile to look at, because obviously there was a fair amount of effort put into getting the motor and everything as close as they could. And on this side, this compartment opens as well. It opens towards the front, as you can see here. All right, but what would a Gradall machine be without showing you the function of the telescoping boom and how it works? Well, we can do that. So obviously you can extend it out. You can tilt the bucket either direction. Now, in my opinion, from what I've seen in the real world, I have never really seen, probably 95% of the Gradalls I've seen in the real world have a smooth bucket, obviously a bucket with no teeth on it, for some finishing work on road construction jobs, things like that. So I'm not really sure why this one has a 4-tooth bucket on it. I think it would have been much nicer if this had a finishing bucket or a smooth bucket. But nevertheless, the functionality works quite well. You can raise and lower. Obviously, the telescopic section goes in and out. And you can tilt or rotate the entire boom to mimic that of its real-life counterpart. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Overall, my assessment of the Gradall XL4300 Series 2 excavator in 1/32 scale is it's quite a nice piece, to be honest with you. The functionality that you'd want to see from a Gradall machine is all there, obviously, with the telescoping boom section, the wheels that turn, the outriggers that work, the added addition of the many opening compartments that I've shown you before, as well as the opening cab door. Again, very nice implements on this model. It is dated by today's standards in terms of being released back in the year 2005. That being said, if you have some other construction equipment in this similar scale of anywhere between 1/30th to 1/35th scale, I do believe that it would display very well with those models, particularly if you have maybe a dump truck that you can pose this machine next to, perhaps loading the dump truck. I think that would be a perfect combination for this machine. Now, I picked this up from a private seller. I don't know where you could go to purchase these nowadays, but I'm sure maybe a good place to start might be grad-all.com or eBay, somewhere along those lines if you're interested. But again, I'd say that this is pretty good value for the money that I paid for it, and particularly it's a no-brainer if you collect 1/32 scale trucks or heavy equipment models. As always, I'm Tommy with Diecast Emporium. Thank you all so very much for tuning in and watching today. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments section below, and if you haven't yet already, please be sure to subscribe for this channel as we put out videos weekly. Thanks again for watching. Take care, be safe. I'll see you in the next review.